the Tuesday Night Perry here on twitch.tv/Perry Von Vicious. I got off to a little bit of a, just a couple minutes late start here. Honestly, I wasn't looking at the time. Don't have a better excuse than that. Kind of wish I did. Um, yeah, but I'm ready and raring to go. I literally have a mug of coffee at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday because, living on the edge, folks. Mm, that's good. All right. But as you can see, we are hopping into a bit of the old Disneyland Adventures here, and yeah, this is a cool game for those who haven't been on stream when I've played this before. This game basically basically has a full recreation of the Disney parks. And Joey Nails, yeah, dude, Disney nerd is right, man. I am as Disney adult as it gets, and I'm okay with that. You know, that's the joy of being a 40-year-old millennial with no kids. I get to spend my money how I want, and how I want is going to the Disney parks. At this point, it's been a couple of months since I was last in a Disney park, and frankly, it feels like it's been a little bit too long. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to hop in here. I'm just hitting new game just so it dumps me right at the beginning of the park. Uh, totally fine with me. I should have my, I believe you don't get to design a character in this game, so it's just like a random, like, kid avatar that you run around as. And that's fine by me. Well, I take you to Disney. Hey man, if you're covering it, right now I'm going to take you on a little bit of a trip to Disney here in the virtual park, and you'll get just a small taste of what it's like to be in a Disney park with me. I imagine for others it is exhausting. I have way too much knowledge about these parks, way too many emotional attachments to these parks, and I can rant and ramble like a maniac when presented with even the slightest premise within these parks. And there's a lot of stuff for me to talk about too. We just had a D23 Expo, and there were a lot of announcements coming out of that. New stuff going into the parks in Florida, California, and abroad. New attractions, new shows, let alone what they announced for movies and the like. But I'm not worried about that. I'm a parks geek. That's where my heart and my brain live. Ah, yes, the never-ending loading screen. Um, the loading screen on this does take a while, but it proves to be worth it because this is a really like this game is really in depth. Like it's a faithful recreation of Disneyland at the time, not Disneyland and California Adventure, but just Disneyland at the time. This game came out. No, I had the date up a second ago. Something like November 3rd, 2011, which means this game, reflecting the park as it was then, this game came out 4 days after I got married in the Disneyland parks. So this game shows Disneyland as it was the day I got married, which is so cool. So I'm looking forward to if the loading screen ever finishes. Like, what's going on here? This is absurd. It's never taken this long. I've been rambling forever. I might have to relaunch the game, you guys. All right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm gonna hop over here. Where's my Where's my dang mouse? There we go. Got my mouse back. Here we go. Go ahead and hop to the close up. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to bail out of the game. Escape. You have frozen. Can you believe this right now? I'm going to close the game. We're going to start it over. Wild that the game froze up. That has not happened to me before. Shameful, Disney. Shameful. At least my green screen's working better today than it was yesterday. I'll take that. All right, we're launching the game on up again. Ducking out of the way of it as it works. And this time we're just going to go ahead and let it continue the same game. See if that works better. Yeah, it's not a live stream if you don't start with some stupid technical difficulty, right? Yeah. Coffee on a Tuesday night. Living like a king. Again, the joys of being a 40-year-old millennial with no kids. Do what I want. If that means losing sleep because I wanted some evening time coffee. Well, here we are. All right, this time I'm going to hit continue game and see if it actually launches. Cool, we're back to the loading screen. If it doesn't work this time, we might have to shift Joey Nails being the third of my wrestling sons behind Myung-Jae Lee and Abs. If it doesn't launch this time, we're going to switch tactics and we're going to jump into Future Port, which is the faithful 3D rendering of Epcot as it was on opening day. Here we go. Now we're talking. Look at this. This is... How awesome is this? I mean, honestly. The best. Being welcomed by the man himself. Remember what Walt said, we should never lose sight of one thing. This was all started with a mouse. Now this is in fact Disneyland. This is the original park. And I'm not going to change anything about this character. I'm just going to say it's all fine because I really don't care what the character I'm playing as looks like. Yes, Mickey, I know. You're here to help me. Thank you very much. Yes, you want me to get autographs of the other characters. I'm probably not doing that. I'm probably just going to wander around and look at the park. All right, come on, Mickey. Let's get through this. Okay, thanks for the autograph book, pal. All right. Am I in control yet? Can I actually run around and do things? Oh. Apparently I've asked Mickey for his autograph. Can you blame me? You believe in Disney World superiority. Well, that's spoken like someone who's never been to Disneyland. Disneyland, the two parks there are walking distance from each other. No long bus rides. Let's see. Let's go ahead and exit the conversation here. It's also never nearly as packed as Florida. The weather is better. All right. I'm trying to remember. There's certain keys that... I don't think there is a faster run button. I think it's literally you move at one speed in this game. Alright, but I'm going to take us where everyone's day in the park begins, and we're going to start our tour. I've done a stream like this in the past, but I've been pretty exhausted this week, hence the coffee at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. But I've been pretty exhausted and kind of feeling like I need a little bit of a reset. And, you know, in real life when I'm feeling that way, yeah, well, you got to get out there, Joey. You got to get to California. No, don't. Okay, yeah, don't. No, stop. Who was talking to me? Why is someone talking to me? Good. All right. Yeah, you know, you got to get out to California, Joey Nails. You got to do it. It's the best. I miss it every day since I moved away. Going back was delightful the few times I've been back. Bobby Gilbert, he's here. He's ready. He's ready for me to geek out. So I was opening the stream mentioning that one of the interesting things about this particular game is it depicts the way Disneyland looked when the game was released. The game was released 4 days after I was married in Disneyland. So I have my own little time capsule of exactly what the parks looked like on the day I was married. So here you're going to sort of get like the Perry tour of the parks. So first, if I come out to the gate, what I was saying about the difference between the two parks, Joey, see that? Right there? You see that? That is California Adventure. That is the entrance to California Adventure over there. When you think of the distance between Epcot and Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, they're so far apart, and you're on buses or the monorail or the Skyliner, and it takes forever to get from park to park. You walk park to park, and that's it. It's literally that distance. When I would go to these parks at that time, that area you're looking at between these two gates is always where my trip started. I would get down, we would drive from Northern California. Oh, hey, I can see the top of Soarin' over there. That's that checkered building. Um, I would start in Northern California. We'd drive down the 5, 6, 7 hours, depending on traffic, and we would get to a hotel the night before, and I could never wait. I never could. So I would walk from the hotel, the 10 minutes or whatever, to downtown Disney, which is just out this gate and to the right over there is downtown Disney. And I would walk through downtown Disney into this area, the Esplanade, which is the in-between area between the two parks where you can buy tickets or whatever. And they have the music playing, and it just feels right. Hey, Joey made his debut in Bobby's figure promotion. How'd he do? Is he doing jobs, or is he getting put over? But yeah, finally I would come into the park the next morning, and it would look a great deal like this. I mean, you got that classic, the flowers with Mickey on it, the train station. And for me, I always would come over this side. This was always the side of the tunnel we would go in. You can go through either, and it sends you to Main Street USA. We always kind of went to the right. And this is one of my favorite things in these parks was the ride and attraction posters that are up everywhere. Big Thunder, Small World. We got the Winnie the Pooh ride in Critter Country, and right there, that's the Nemo submarine voyage in Tomorrowland, which of course started as the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea submarines in Tomorrowland before they changed it and added some IP. See, destroyed the San Antonio Idiot, formerly known as Shawn Michaels. Everybody needs a gimmick change once in a while. You got to swap it up, stay fresh. I get it. I get it. So up there you got the Lily Bell. That is the train that goes over. That was Walt's train. He actually had a collection of trains that he would drive around his yard. This being the biggest he set up around Disneyland, named after his wife, Lillian Disney. Let's see. Let's get okay. Before I head in, before we get to that, this is classic right there. That sign above me. Here you leave today, and you enter a world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. Sort of an abbreviated version of some of the words in Walt's commencement speech when he opened the parks for the first time. All right, let's get a look at these attraction posters. We got Peter Pan's Flight, classic. Enchanted Tiki Room in Adventureland is one of my absolute favorite parts of the park. And when I go around and we get near that, the story in that place is crazy. I love the art styles here. You're getting three of my favorite art styles right on these posters. That of the Jungle Cruise in Adventureland, explore the mysterious rivers of adventure. I love that sort of Indiana Jones, old world, turn of the century adventure art. I always love that. Space Mountain and Tomorrowland, just that whole design, that sort of, that's like the 80s retrofuturism that you would see, not the mid-century retrofuturism, which I do love. I do love that, but that's more 80s, that style. And then, of course, we have the, again, mid-century modern, sort of tiki-inspired, Googie-inspired Enchanted Tiki Room, which, again, I'll talk more about that when we get around to that attraction. Let's take a look at what's on the other side here. We got, yeah, there's the Disneyland Railroad, which is right above. We got the monorail, which in Disneyland doesn't go as many places. Now, Joey Nails, I know you, if you're still on, I know you were saying that you had actually seen that you've been to the parks in Florida. The monorail in Florida goes to many of the hotels and between many of the parks. There's not as many places to go in California because there's the Disneyland Hotel that's right there. There's downtown Disney that's right there. These are all like 2 minutes walking distance from each other. There's the actual parks, and then there's the California Adventure hotels, the Grand Californian, which is literally attached to California Adventure. Like you can exit the hotel into the park. So here, the monorail actually only goes from Disneyland to downtown Disney, and that's it. So yeah, the world parks, the monorail goes to a lot more places. Here, it doesn't really need to. Everything's kind of right there, and it's awesome. Um, but yeah, we were talking differences between Disneyland and Disney World. To me, one of the most important things, Walt never set foot in Disney World. He was dead before it came to be. Disneyland was Walt's park. This was his vision, and he was there all the time. He had his own apartment set up in the park, and we're going to look at that too. Well, Perry, I got offered a new job working for the Department of Transportation. Hey, that's a good gig to have. That's a good gig. People work hard to find those gigs. And I see Bobby Gilbert got 2 new trucks today. Who did you get, Bobby? I got to know. Were they minis or were they the 164th? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. We got Storybook Land and Fantasyland. That is a classic boat ride with like miniatures. We're going to take a look at that for sure. And of course, I mean, is it really a trip to the Disney parks without seeing the grim grinning ghosts coming out to socialize, without going to the swinging wake of the haunted mansion? 999 happy haunts, but there's room for 1,000. All American and Identity Theft. Hey, they came in from those. Those are from Chuck. They came in. Love to hear it. Those aren't. Those are like they're so different from the toys in the stores. Like you can see how the manufacturing is so different, but they're beautiful. Like they did a really good job with those. Like I'm kind of stunned. Like indie toy makers, it's you can never be sure what you're gonna get, but those came out beautifully. All right, let's get a quick spin around here. So all these details you're seeing, all this like highly detailed work up in the shingles up on the railroad, the topiary sort of behind my character there. That's exactly how it looks in California. It's wild, and like you'll notice there's a lot more vegetation in this park than like Magic Kingdom in Florida, and that's because this park has been there longer and the plants have had more time to flourish. My wife is actually, that's one of her favorite things to do in the park, is to go up to these little garden sections, and she will identify all the plants and things in it. You see some butterflies in there. We were actually kind of surprised to learn that the little garden sections that are in Tomorrowland are almost entirely comprised of herbs and edibles. So it's like you go by and there's strawberry plants where they've plucked all the berries, but it's still the leaves. There's lettuce growing in there. There's lots of parsley and cilantro and dill, just herbs that grow very plentifully, and it does make the whole area smell beautiful. Um, all right, yeah, here we go. The Disneyland story presents great moments with Mr. Lincoln. Now, what's cool in California as opposed to Florida? In Florida, you have your Hall of Presidents over in Frontierland, or Liberty Square is the name of the section there. Here, you have great moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is a recreation of the very first time they had a human audio animatronic, and it is the same exact audio animatronic robot of Mr. Lincoln that still does the show there. And it's so much fun. I see it every time. The last time I was there, there was an incredible downpour. You'll have to check out the vlog episode. Maybe I'll throw a thing up here somewhere if I have the time. It'll link on the YouTube video. But it was a downpour. It was terrible. It was soaking. The streets were flooding. And I just went in and watched Mr. Lincoln, and all by myself because my wife was off with one of her friends in the park doing something else. And Levi Shapiro, shout out Levi Shapiro, who was down hanging out with me. He had to take a work call, so he was in Trader Sam's Tiki Bar, having an entire Zoom call for about 4 hours. All right, as we make our way toward Main Street USA, we're almost into the park now. You see we got some of the shops here. I am going to hop right through the center here, where they have oh, I can't look up that high. Let's see if I can do it from back here. Now we can't look all the way up the pole, but there's a flag up there. And then as we come around here, we got the city hall, and of course the fire department. And one of the things you're going to notice up here, this is important to see. That window, that lit up window up there, that was Walt's apartment when he lived in, he would stay in Disneyland in California. Can we plan a Cali trip together once you're making state money? Hey, again, I'm going to say it. If you're flying me out and you're paying for my ticket, I will 100% be your personal tour guide through the Disney parks. 100%. I'm a-okay doing that. So this window right up, I'm trying to look at myself in the camera. That window right up above my little avatar's head there, that was Walt's window, and you can see it's lit up in the game. They always have a lamp there that's always lit, and that's their sort of like memory for Walt. And it can feel a little emotional when you're leaving the park at the end of the night and you've seen this sort of the legacy left behind by this guy, and you walk by and it's the last thing you go by before you go out those gates, and that light's on. It's really cool. It's a really special sort of thing. Disneyland Emporium, one of the bigger stores on Main Street. Now this is cool. The Main Street Magic shop. Now you see here featuring Houdini magic. Through 2011, you can't ride on my shoulders like a small child, but I will put you in a backpack like Luke carrying Yoda around. Now you see here it does say featuring Houdini magic. Back in 2011, when this game was made, they still had a contract with the Houdini magic stores, and that's who was sort of running the magic store at the time. That isn't the case anymore. It's back to just being Main Street Magic on its own. But got their start there. One of the people who got their start performing for people by demonstrating magic tricks was in this store when he was just a little kid, when the park was brand new. In the first 10 years the park was open, was Steve Martin. This is the first place he performed in front of people, was in this little store. It was actually his first job. When he was, I believe, 8 or 9, he worked in the park selling ticket books. And then as he got older, he learned a little bit of sleight of hand from the people who worked in the magic shop, and they moved him into the magic shop. All right, continuing down Main Street here. Now, right about here usually is when you're just nailed with the smell of like cinnamon rolls and churros and coffee, because it's first thing in the morning and the bakeries are going. And I always thought, like, yeah, it's because the bakeries have to make so much stuff. No, they actually have little vents, and you can sort of see where they are. That little gray square right by the hand of my avatar, those are open vents in some of these stores, and they literally pump out the smell of vanilla so that your brain goes right to a bakery. They always have Steamboat Willie, as well as a number of other old Mickey shorts playing in the Main Street Cinema. You just walk right in and kind of stand around watching that. Let's see, what else is here that might not be there anymore, because there's a lot of stuff not there anymore. I believe, is it this one? One of these shops. I think there's a cafe up ahead here. Yeah, there's a little cafe on that side. Over here is one of my favorite hidden things behind this fruit cart. So you come back here, and it's where they have the lockers, right? This is where you can lock up your stuff. I think there's a bathroom back here. But because this is all supposed to be Main Street USA, and there's little businesses, I don't think you can read any of them here in the game, but a lot of the windows have tributes to Disney legends, famous Imagineers, and what have you. You come back here, and there is this dentist office. And if you go stand by it, I'm going to turn the audio up on the game here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it or not. Usually you can kind of hear some of the noises from the dentist. All right, I'm going to turn it back down. We're going to keep wandering. But yeah, you can usually hear the dentist, and there's also a voice lessons place back here, and you can usually hear the singing. And I know it's in the game. You can't always get it to work though. What can you do? All right, continuing on with the tour as we approach. Again, that view of the castle when you first get in there and the partners statue that's there is just so iconic. Um, and then right here, somewhere right in here, and I'm not sure which of these it is. There was like a bakery cafe. Now it's a Starbucks run cafe, which is fine. People wanted that, but not for me. I skip right by it because that ain't where I'm getting my food. And here we got Casey's Corner, the refreshment corner. It was the refreshment corner at the time. And it's been the Carnation Corner, Carnation Cafe. It's had a lot of different names. Now it is Casey's Corner, themed to Casey at the bat, which is really cool. That was a place that was a saving grace when I would go down. We would go down and wrestle in SoCal, and we would get swiped in for free by a friend who worked at the parks, and we had like no money to spend. So we would go to that refreshment corner, and you could get a coffee, and as long as you kept your receipt all day, you could get free refills all day, and they wouldn't use your cup. They would give you a new cup. So it's basically just free coffee all day. And we would do that, and like I would spend less than $50 in the park for the entire day. I would get like two pretzels and a coffee. Like I think total on those days I would spend, including what I paid for parking, maybe $30. Like I was really, really running cheap. So as we come up here, there's stuff on that side. First, we're gonna pop right over here because to this day, this is the first thing I do when I get into these parks. As I get over here to what's currently called the Plaza Pavilion, that is not what this place is called anymore. This place right now is the Jolly Holiday. Yeah, it's so hard for me to say. Jolly Holiday Bakery. When we come up here, you walk through there, and inside is one of the most beautiful. It's a Mary Poppins themed walk-up restaurant with all kinds of pastries and goodies and coffee. And then my wife and I will come out, and usually, I think the last time we were here, we wound up sitting somewhere like right about here at one of these tables and just had our breakfast. This table and those chairs and those umbrellas, I want that for my yard. Like, I want to make a replica of that so it'll feel like I'm at the park. All right. So now that we've covered breakfast, we're gonna come back out here. Oh boy, I'm starting to see some of the sights and sounds of the park. Let's go ahead and get our view of this is the partners statue. I think almost every year of my life, probably since I was probably 13 or 14, I have at least one picture of me in front of this statue. Sometimes with family, sometimes with I have one with a now ex-girlfriend. I've got a bunch with my wife, some by myself, and a bunch with different friends. Some from wrestling, some from college. I just always manage to find myself taking a picture in front of that. And then, of course, you see the castle in the background. Now, this is for Joey Nails. Bobby, have you been to any of the Disney parks? That's right. I was just gonna. Herobotic is in the chat. Herobotic, I definitely 100% have a picture of me and Herobotic in front of this statue on both coasts. Both coasts. Yeah, Joey Nails, you fly me out. We're gonna take that picture. You ought to fly Herobotic out too. All three of us in the picture. Joey Nails, you'll appreciate this. The Perry and Perry Von Vicious comes from Herobotic's real name. Herobotic was my best friend in college and stole a portion of his name for my wrestling persona. So anyhow, since we're yeah, Joey Nails, you will notice if that castle looks smaller than what you're used to seeing because you've only been to the Florida parks, that's because it is significantly smaller. But it's more important than the one in Florida. That's true. I am also named after Dr. Perry Cox from the show Scrubs. But I mean, let's be honest, it definitely comes from both. I could have taken anyone's name from that show. All right, so again, my usual route when I come in, hey, there's the churro cart, always important. There's only a few things that really matter food-wise in a Disney park. Dole Whips and churros are way at the top of that list. All right, we're going to take sort of the loop and the route that I always end up taking in these parks. So I come in and I always come over to the right here for Tomorrowland. Now, I don't come up to go through this path, but I want the view. Look at that, the Astro Orbiter, the old Tomorrowland sign. It doesn't look anything like this anymore. They've got different color schemes going on. These big weird sort of like wood plank things aren't there anymore. Well, you came back the day you thought of it, and I told you I was flattered, and then you thought for a second and said, "Oh yeah, okay." Look. It's like 17 years ago. Okay, it's got to be both. It has to be both. It's more important that it be both. Um, yeah. So anyhow, continuing the tour here, robotic. There's our Astro Orbiter, a classic ride. It's basically the same ride as Dumbo, but themed for sort of a weird retro futurism space vibe. We come around, and this is where you start to see the plants start to take this sort of like different, highly manicured shape where they're kind of forming the lands. And again, these are the gardens where my wife would be looking in and telling me exactly what the plants are because they pick some really cool ones for these. And it took me years to even really notice it, but right there you see these sort of ingrained murals almost. These are carvings done into these walls, and they have them on both sides. You can see way over there. Just really cool and unique. Hi, how's it going, guys? Apparently, I got some friends coming to say hi. All right, we see the ground is shifted. Now this is cool. Herobotics in the chat. Bobby Gilbert's never been to Disneyland. Have you ever? Is it only Disneyland, or have you never been to Florida or California for the parks? Because you got to get to them. It's a good time. Herobotic, I want to see you in the chat. What sign is missing from up there? Those twinkly stars. What's that sign supposed to say? Can you tell me what ride this is that they didn't have the rights to in this game? I'm watching the chat. I want to see what he says. Bobby Gilbert has never been outside of Michigan. My friend, gonna have to do some traveling. Gonna have to break out. We'll see if Herobotic hops in. Maybe he's got ads rolling for him right now. Is the Buzz Lightyear shooter game? No, Buzz Lightyear is right there. Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. It's just like Toy Story, but for Buzz Lightyear. That's an inside joke, everybody. I'm sorry. So this was just like a couple years, like maybe a year before Disney bought the rights to Lucasfilm. This is Star Tours. No, we're getting a Captain EO here, Robotic. Wait till you see it. Because it's not there anymore, but it's going to bring back some memories when you see it. So this would be Star Tours, which of course didn't start as Star Tours. It started as a, what is it, Journey Through Inner Space was what was originally in there. And when you see the old pictures of the queue, you can look right at it and go, oh yeah, that's where the Star Speeder is. That's where C-3PO is. But it's Journey Through Inner Space. I actually have the vinyl to Journey Through Inner Space. That was a very limited release a couple years ago. It's awesome. One side is just all instrumental from what you would hear in the ride, and the other side is all of the music from the ride with the narration from when you would go through it. It's really cool. Yeah, so again, on the opposite side there, now we would always come here first because Star Tours at the time had just been revamped. It was now the Star Tours The Adventures Continue, where you had many different types of versions of the ride where it's never the same twice. So there was huge lines for it. So we would always go there first thing in the morning because we'd beat the lines. Across the way, you got Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, a fun little like arcade game where you kind of shoot little laser guns and get points as you go through, ostensibly based on Buzz Lightyear. Now that mural up there is one of my favorite things in all of the parks. Tomorrowland in California is just so iconic and so awesome. You're going to hear me say a lot of this is some of my favorite stuff. It just all is. I didn't even really notice those murals because there's one on the opposite side as well. I didn't really notice those for years when I was going. And then one day I kind of looked up and I just stared at them for long enough that it ate into my park day. All right, so coming up here, this is a frequent stop. This right here is a, during the day is a churro cart. And now, right over here these days, they have a pretzel cart that does some wild seasonal pretzels. I've had pumpkin spice pretzels there with like, it was a maple and brown butter dipping sauce. I've had French toast pretzels there that had a it was a maple and cream cheese dipping sauce. Just insane, so good. But it doesn't open till like 11 in the morning, so like you have to have breakfast before that because the California parks open at like 8 in the morning. You know, it's a long day in these parks, 8 to midnight most days, which for me is perfect. The fruit cart, that's always there in real life, same one. All right, now we're coming over. We're getting to the meat of this park. We got Star Trader. This is like the main store in Tomorrowland. That neon sign with Mickey, you're gonna hear me say it again now, is one of my absolute favorite things in the park. My wife and I desperately want to recreate one that blinks just like that and have it in our house. It is the coolest, and at nighttime, it looks so cool. All right, we got let's see, we got the rocket that's been there basically since opening of the park. That's kind of a like important landmark. Now, Herobotics shouted it out before with Captain EO. We come up to this merch stand. Yeah, that's right. Captain EO shirts on display in the window. Yeah, it begins. Look at the way they carved the topiaries here. Again, none of this is made up for the game. This is what it looks like when you're actually there. All right, coming around the side here, we do in fact have, there's more of the exits to Starcade. Oh, and we got more merch. Look at that Captain EO shirt. I want that Captain EO shirt. If someone wants to buy me a Captain EO shirt like that, I will 100% wear it to the ring. Bobby Gilbert. Hey, I'm glad you like the cards I sent along. I'm pretty proud of my merch. I'm gonna hold some up to the camera. I keep them nearby just in case. There's only one that I'm not able to give out or sell because I only got a couple of them myself, and it's when Blitzkrieg Pro made that card of me. But all the others, you know, these things are really slick, and I'm really proud of them. This one, the art was done by Jack Purcell, who is a DC and Marvel Comics artist. So yeah, I'm glad you like them. But yeah, that Captain EO shirt. If someone wants to find me that Captain EO shirt, I will 100% wear it to the ring. Shout you out on the vlog. All right, so down here we got this little gateway. You see some people waiting for something. There's bathrooms down there, but that's not why they're there. They are there for Captain EO, which at the time, right, this is 2011, it was Captain EO tribute. Just a couple years earlier, Michael Jackson had passed away, and so they brought Captain EO back after more than a decade of having been out of the park. Bobby Gilbert put the stickers on the Xbox. Hey, I'm glad there's somewhere where you're going to see them. That's awesome. I never know where to put my stickers. I never have a good place for them. I feel like nothing is permanent enough in my life. Like, I'm going to put the sticker on it, and then whatever I put it on, I'm going to lose or break. So I'm glad you found a good space for them. So yeah, Captain EO tribute, which fittingly, when I got married in the parks, was one of the first things my entire wedding party, my parents, my in-laws, and Herobotic, who was there. Herobotic was the officiant at my wedding. We all went on Captain EO together to go watch the show. And it is for a show that features the work of Francis Ford Coppola, Michael Jackson, George Lucas, the Disney Company, and the Henson Company. Captain EO is just awful. It is the dumbest, goofiest crap you've ever seen. Yeah, and right down there, that is the waiting area. Right down there where you wait for the show to start. Those TVs played the most awesome pre-show hype thing that was like the history of how the show was done. It had a bunch of like sort of original weird music that wasn't actually from the show. You can still hear the full audio from that pre-show on YouTube, which I do occasionally throw on when I'm working on bigger projects. And if you can hear that music in the background, I do have the music done a little lower here to hopefully avoid any copyright issues. It is Disney after all. If you can hear that shift in the music, that is because we are next to one of the most famous attractions in any Disney park. It is not the Pizza Port. Pizza Port, which is now Pizza Planet from Toy Story. Do love Pizza Port, though. That was always a go-to for my wife and I for a cheap and decent meal back in the day. But right there, that's the sign I was looking for. Space Mountain. That's one of the most iconic rides in the park, and it is infinitely better. I need Joey Nails to pay close attention right now. It is infinitely better than the version that is in Florida. The version that's in Florida is basically the same ride as California's monorail, just in the dark. This Space Mountain is completely unique, set up completely different than that ride, and is not fully in the dark. There are projected galaxies and stars everywhere, shooting stars that zip across. It is so much cooler, and they have speakers built into the seats so you can hear that iconic Space Mountain music while you're riding through. Super cool. That was also one that we went on very quickly after my wedding proceedings concluded. Hey, there's Stitch. Yeah, Pizza Port, which is a classic. Always enjoyed Pizza Port. I wonder, I can't go up the line to Space Mountain. Can I go in Pizza Port? You never know quite what they will and won't let you in these. Yeah, I guess not. Wow, payphones in the park. So here's this weird sculpture thing. That giant like marble ball is red, or not red. It's wet, and when you push it, it moves. It's crazy. I always used to play with that back in the day. Now too many people touch it in a day for my liking. Bobby Gilbert says, "Do I still need Samson?" Depends on which Samson. I know you're referring to the Hot Wheels, the current Hot Wheels series. If it's either the ones with the fists on it, I have both of those. But they had the throwback Samson, the red Samson that was, I believe, Samson 1. I was never able to find that one. And actually, it's the truck that is in the background of this card, the old school red square body Samson. That's the one I'm still looking for. So, this building behind me here, at the time that this was being done, it was Innoventions, sort of like Epcot when you would be in the base of Spaceship Earth. It was a lot of robotics, a lot of tech of the future, tech of the present, sort of showing you where technology was headed. But its round shape, it was the original Carousel of Progress before they uprooted all the innards from that ride and moved it out to Florida in Florida's Tomorrowland. But this used to be Carousel of Progress. Currently, it's like a Disney Vacation Club members lounge. It's just a room they can go in that's air conditioned to get away from everyone. Kind of a waste of space, kind of a bummer. But for Disney Throwback Night, which we didn't have tickets to, but we were in the park that day, as we were leaving, they're setting up for Throwback Night. They put up the old Carousel of Progress decorations all over the front, and I did manage to snag a picture in front of it. That was pretty awesome. That was a dumb little highlight of that particular trip. All right, coming around the back of Tomorrowlanding, Gifts from Outer Space. As we're coming around the backside here, now this is cool. We're coming right up on, this is the Tomorrowland stage. At the time, they would have been doing some sort of like Star Wars little things for kids here. They had like lightsaber training. They had, please do keep an eye out for it. I appreciate that, Bobby. They would have lightsaber training. They would have like sort of a Darth Maul, Darth Vader like show thing. But they would also have bands play here at night. Bands like Steam Powered Giraffe have played there, one of my all-time favorites. The Suburban Legends played there a bunch of times. The Suburban Legends have basically become Disney mainstays for doing their ska covers of Disney songs. All right, I'm gonna wander back out of the stage area here, run my way through these tourists. Oh, there's some of the Toy Story aliens saying hi. There's Autopia. The beautiful design work, mid-century modern car race work of the Disney legend Bob Gurr, who is currently, yeah, there they go. Those cars designed by Bob Gurr, who also designed the monorail. He's in his early 90s and is actually very active on Instagram. He has a fantastic Instagram about design work, mid-century modern aesthetics, and Disney history. Just really cool. He's very active in that community. All right, running back out here. Yeah, Tomorrowland Terrace. That's the stage where all those bands played. Over here we got Nemo Submarine Voyage, which started its life as the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride. Let's see if we can get a look into the water here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. You can see the submarines kind of floating around. There's going to be a better view over here next to the animatronic, the animatronic seagulls that we'll probably even hear shouting, "Mine, mine, mine, mine." Yeah, there they go. There's those old submarines. Now, interestingly, when do I remember the racetrack Disney had? Yes, really early on when they had the actual like the go-karts that would race. Very early on. Yeah, it was sort of like Autopia on steroids. Um, so interestingly, in this moat, when it first opened, they had a rock in the middle with mermaids on it, and they were not animatronics. They were actually young women cast members dressed as mermaids, and they had to get rid of that quickly because, like real mermaids that attract stupid sailors, teenage boys would jump the gate and try to swim out to the mermaid girls to talk to them. Boys are stupid. Uh, those custom trash cans that you see everywhere, I love those. Here's where we got the fish jumping out. Love that. Little details, little details. Now, somewhere along here, it's not in the game, there's actually a spot where a big tree trunk, one of the roots has kind of grown out, and they've altered the fence to and the curb to go around it. It's a cool little site and a dumb little detail. Let's see. I'm trying to find. There's a really important spot here, and this might actually be it. No. So there is a spot somewhere in this park, and it might be this spot, it might be somewhere else, where three different types of fences all converge at one place. And, oh, Walt Disney World Speedway. Was it the video game or an actual thing? Because I'm trying to remember, because I know in Disney World they have a similar thing to Autopia. Um, I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, so anyhow, you see the monorail cutting through. Its drop-off point in the park actually isn't at the front of the park. It drops you in Tomorrowland, of all things. All right, we're going to take a quick look over here at the Matterhorn, one of the absolute icons of this park, again designed by Bob Gurr. About halfway up that mountain on the inside is a half-court basketball court that staff members play on during their breaks. See, I'm not going to actually go do the ride or anything, but I will come around so we can have a look here. I've waited in that line, that little queue, a million times. See if we can see the ride vehicles coming through. I can see them up there. Yeah, I see them passing by. And maybe they don't come by on the bottom. That's okay. All right. I'm going to double back over this way because we're starting to get a little lost here. All right, so we've passed through Tomorrowland and we're clearly into Fantasyland now. As we approach, It's a Small World. One of the earliest attractions to the park. It actually made its debut at the World's Fair in would have been 62, 65, 67. I can't recall the exact year, but this debuted at the World's Fair. The design work on it, very distinct. That sort of flat monochrome. You can sort of see the whole outside here is very distinct. This design work was done by legendary children's book illustrator and Imagineer designer Mary Blair. She also did the massive mural that is in the Grand Floridian at Disney World. actual racetrack that hosted NASCAR and Indy races. Really? Now, was it actually on Disney property, or was it just one that they sponsored in Florida? Because I'm not familiar with that. I'm gonna have to learn more. So these topiaries are actually there when you're there in person, which is wild. And there's one that we were trying to hunt down forever that appeared in an old photo in a pile of old pictures my wife's family had. And it is here in the game, a shortened version of it. This sea serpent. Love that. It's really there for real too. And all of these the weird way they've shaped that tree. That's not for the game. That's how it is there. Same with those. All right, let's continue our tour here. It's a small world after. I'm getting copyright strikes left and right, I bet. All right, we're gonna run past now. Right about, let's see, where would it have been? If I'm doubling back here. There would have been an umbrella right here on a little booth out here. And that's where I hid when it was downpouring back in January when I was there. Okay, it was actually on Disney property. I'm gonna have to learn more about that. I was unaware of that. That's awesome. Imagine going to the parks all day and then getting to take a race in the next day and then going back to the parks the next day. Is she going through his backpack for him? Wow, they got the extras doing all kinds of work here. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Oh, we got the Fairy Tale Theater, the Princess Fantasy Fair Theater. That's where they. Oh, perfect. They have Belle there. That's where they have the Beauty and the Beast show, which I believe is now closed. Coming back here now, this is way different now. They just reopened Toontown after a long closure. So a lot of this is not like it is here anymore. So it's pretty cool that we have this sort of time capsule. Now, of course, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin is definitely still there. That is a great ride. However, in this game, it's not really there. It would have a big sign right there and be clearly labeled. For some reason, not in the game. I'm not really sure why. But Toontown is filled with everything you would think. It looks like the little town that Mickey and his friends would live in. Now, current day, back here where you see this Five and Dime and the Gag Laugh Factory, that is now Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Find a YouTube video. Yeah, please do. Tweet it at me. I'd love to see it. And they do have these cars here for photo ops. There's all kinds of new food items and stuff here. But back here you'll see things that are still here include, let's see, where is it? Somewhere around here is Donald's boat that he lives on. I believe this yellow house here is Mickey's house. This pink house is Minnie's house. Yeah, look at Mickey's mailbox. That's great. This tree, that is Chip and Dale's tree that they live in. Right next to Gadget's Go Coaster from Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. That's the Gadget's Go Coaster. Like, I don't even know why they put little games to play in this. I could just explore this all the time. There's Donald's boat. And I believe next door is going to be Goofy's house, which of course has a bird nesting on the chimney, and it's wearing his hat, and all kinds of goofy things. The flowers are all closed up. Yeah, nothing ever. Look at Goofy's car, crashed into his own mailbox, patches on all the tires. Classic Goofy. All right, we're gonna head back out of here. Now, this little dip going down underneath this, that's the train track up there. This floods every time it rains there. Something fierce. When I was there, I was watching them just squeegee the water away. It was incredible. All right, so we've seen all that stuff. Now, what's amazing about the Disneyland park is there are something like 40 or 50 rides just in this one park I'm running around. That doesn't include California Adventure. It's a lot. My wife and I had a day in the park where we were really just trying to relax and not do a whole lot. And in the evening, we're sitting on a ride, and I just started counting on my hands how many rides we had done just sauntering through the parks, no fast passes, just relaxing, not even trying to do much. We sat for long times at meals, took in shows. I think I wound up counting like 16 rides we had done, and it was only 8 at night, so there was 4 more hours of the park being open. All right, let's come around and get a better look at what we're seeing here. Here we got the Mad Tea Party. Oh, there's that music from Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, classic cover of a Long Winters album. John Roderick sitting in one of those teacups. Shout out John Roderick and Merlin Mann and that whole crew. Ah, now here, this whale, that is the legendary front of the storybook boats, the storybook canal boats, storybook land. You can see there. Yeah, this is cool. It's a fun little ride. You go around and there's all these miniatures, sort of showing the sets of different classic Disney movies. As we come around here, I believe we'll find. Yeah, there it is, Toad Hall. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. This park still has Mr. Toad's. It's gone over in Disney World, replaced by I believe Snow White's Mine Train. And this particular little car, this is exactly what the ride vehicles all look like, and you can just sit and pose in that when you're there. Oh, and I love this detail. Look at the hinges on these doors. They're meant to look like frogs. I love that. Such a cool little detail. All right, I'm going to double back for just a sec because there is the Alice in Wonderland ride back here that's not the teacups. And somehow I think we zipped past it. Yeah, back here where you see all this funky stuff and that crazy track that goes up there. This is the Alice in Wonderland ride where you ride the big caterpillar around. This ride is awesome. This ride is one of the coolest ones in Fantasyland. My favorite in Fantasyland is probably Mr. Toad's. I have a soft spot for Mr. Toad's. But this ride is really unique and really cool. It has one room when you get up on the second floor in that ride that's just really hot all the time. And it's because you're right above the room in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And literally this happens in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. He is drunk driving, crashes and dies and goes to hell. And in the hell room, it is incredibly hot. And so in the Alice in Wonderland ride, there's one room that's just really hot. It's because it's right above the heated hell room on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Here is Walt's Carousel, an absolute classic, an always must hit, never a line. That's, sort of the famous story about how the park got started was Walt sitting watching his kids on a carousel at a park and kind of wishing that there was a place where parents and kids could both have fun. And that's where Disneyland came from. Here we go, the Dumbo ride. Sort of, I feel like when people talk about the Disney parks, this is the ride they all picture. Like they all just go, oh yeah, where you fly around on the Dumbo. That's kind of the famous, like the image, All right, continuing with the Fantasyland tour, we're going to head in here toward the castle and work our way back out. So I'm gonna run all the way to the back half of the castle here. And then I'm going to turn us around and we're going to go right back out. So out here on my right, as is indicated by Captain Hook, is Peter Pan's Flight. This ride I almost never get to go on. It is, one of the famous sci-fi author Ray Bradbury went on this ride and said that what they did in Disneyland completely transcended his idea of putting people into a story because of this ride. It is incredible. I don't get on it that often because it has no fast pass lane. It is a slow moving ride that doesn't seat a lot of people, and as such, no matter what time of day you go, the line for this ride is one of the longest in the park, always over an hour, so I usually end up skipping it. Now here we have Snow White's Scary Adventures. They had to rename it from just Snow White's Adventures because it is a little dark and a little scary, much like the story in Snow White. And as sensibilities changed over the years, kids were getting scared and parents were mad that they didn't know it would be scary. Now if we look up here, this is just like in the park. You see that window? That window dead center up there? Watch that, because we're going to see the Wicked Witch appear for just a second. She does it every so often. It happens in the park. It happens in the game. All this stonework you're seeing on this is real, really, really there in the park. All those, the little gargoyles, the little skulls, all that stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I can wait for the Queen to show up. I got nowhere to be. I'm streaming no matter what. So, your move, Maleficent. Is it Maleficent? It is Maleficent, I believe, right? Yeah, yeah, that's Snow White's counterpart, right? Am I getting that wrong? Have another sip of coffee. That's right, I'm drinking coffee past 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'm a madman. Maybe I'm not going to wait around for the Wicked Witch, the evil queen, to show her face. Come on. Do it. There was a thing here. Do I have to go here? Is that how I do it? Alright, well, I'm not going to wait forever on her. But yeah, those curtains fly open. Aha! There's the Sword in the Stone, which a couple times a day does allow one lucky person to lift it up just a little bit. I've tried every time I've been to the parks since 1997, the first time I went, and I have never been the lucky person. Again, I have pictures most years of my life of me trying to move that sword. No luck. Alright, over here we got Pinocchio's Daring Journey. Another just classic, amazing ride. So much fun. Really, I think I prefer that ride over the actual movie. And it's an important movie. Now, in here, this little restaurant that we're seeing here, I had never actually bothered going into for the longest time. And it was on this last trip, Village House. It was on the last trip that I actually went in there for the first time with Levi Shapiro, churro cart. I was in there with Levi Shapiro, had a delightful breakfast, and couldn't believe the theming inside. It was stunning. Speaking of, yeah, look at those topiaries. Now back here, we got Casey Jones. I can't run. Can you guys just come on? I gotta wait in line. Anyways, back here we got the Casey Jr. Yeah, Casey Jones. It's not Ninja Turtles. We got the Casey Jr. Train, which again is a ride I didn't really discover until a few years ago. And it's just delightful. It kind of runs around back there and plays the theme from the Casey Jr. theme from Casey at the Bat. Really, really cool. Yeah, there it goes. Look at that. And it's got circus cars. Sometimes, yeah, you see people can sit inside where they used to have the animals in the cages, and then there's regular seats for people. Yeah, love that. All right, as we're coming around the back corner of Fantasyland here, where the stonework is, now present day over here, there's an additional walkway that splinters off that takes you to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge did not exist at the time of this game, so it's not there. Now we have wandered into the back half of Frontierland, and that is where we find Big Thunder Ranch, which does not exist anymore. They used to have some animals, some goats and things. I actually think they might be in the game. I'm gonna look around and see. Have to get past Jesse from Toy Story here. Let's see, they got some of the old carts here. Yeah, like these little pens would have animals in them that were part of Disney. Got the restrooms back there. Yeah, I don't think the goat's in the game. Ah, Davy Crockett playing in the background. That's a copyright strike. Over Washington, so I heard tell, and patched up the crack in the Liberty Bell. Davy Crockett. All right. We got to head back out of here. And the Bengal Barbecue, one of the popular eateries around here. Now we're coming back around, there's the Big Thunder Ranch entrance again. We're coming around the backside of Big Thunder Mountain. So I've got a great story about taking this exact route walking around here. My wife and I were out here, and Big Thunder Mountain was closed for refurbishments, and we got to about right here on this bridge, the last night of our trip, it was dark out even already, when we heard the ride vehicles zip by. And, you know, you keep walking because you hear ride vehicles all day. We got about here and kind of turned and looked at each other like, did you just hear that? And we realized it had opened. It wasn't scheduled to open for weeks. And it opened right then. So we ran right around this corner up here, you know, as fast as we could. Got in line and we went on Big Thunder Mountain. And like 5 minutes after we get off, it closed again and did not reopen. So we were like one of a handful of people that got to go on that ride. Yeah, let's where's the actual mountain here? Here it is. Let's get a nice view of Big Thunder Mountain. Yeah. All the mountains in the parks are so iconic to what these parks are. I always crack up because they have a Clarkdale Fruit Orchards sign in there on one of the carts during the queue. And we famously here in Massachusetts, in fact, just a couple miles from my house, have Clarkdale Fruit Orchards. Clarkdale Apple Orchards is right there. Now here we have the sign for the river excursions. This is the Mark Twain Riverboat. And the sailing ship Columbia is usually out on the water as well, sort of a more like pirate ship looking boat. But yeah, there's the Mark Twain. Always a nice little ride, kind of a more relaxing part of the parks. So this is Frontierland proper here. This is the front half of Frontierland that we've crossed over into. And there's a number of really interesting things here that you got to see. I mean, first of all, we got to take in, just for a minute, a beautiful view of something that I know Joey Nails might appreciate. This is the Rivers of America, and that right there is Tom Sawyer Island that you can get over to from some little boats and go explore. Both of those attractions they announced at D23 are not here, not in California. Here in California, it's okay. But at the Florida parks, they are demolishing the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island to put in a Cars ride. To me, that really doesn't fit in Frontierland. Not a lot of cars when the frontier was being conquered, but, you know, they're the ones making the money. They know better than I do. The Golden Horseshoe Review, very famous theater and eatery in the parks. Hopped in there while I was down there this last time and had the famous breakfast chimichanga. Super good. Can't recommend it enough. Levi Shapiro and I went in there. Used to see a folk band that would play in there called Billy Hill and the Hillbillies. They were the act in there for some 20 years or so. Before that, they had the Golden Horseshoe Review that was a lot of Old West vaudeville style shows. Famously, Steve Martin, as a young kid, would go in with his free lunch that he got every day from his work selling tickets as a little kid. And he would go in there and he would watch the shows, and he would watch comedian Wally Bogue, one of the earliest legends in all of performing comedy, would watch him in there, and that's what inspired him to be a comedian. So we're getting a look down here at all of Frontierland, the shooting galleries, which I believe are probably not sticking around too much longer. Sort of like a carnival game where you can shoot at some stuff in there. I've never actually played it. Now that cigar store Indian is no longer in Frontierland. I believe it's on Main Street. Just one of the things that they've moved around that I've seen over the years. Let's see. They got the forts here that are no longer up. You know, you used to be able to go explore these. I don't know if you still can. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, we're gonna head. You know what? We're gonna head right back out to the center hub here. There is one more thing in Frontierland, but thankfully Adventureland kind of drops us back out. There's the Disneyland omnibus that runs up and down Main Street in the mornings. Let's see. All right, now we're getting to some of. This is probably my favorite land in any of the parks. It is Adventureland in California. You see there where the pavement changes. You got the rivers here, and as you enter, you go by one of the most iconic remnants of mid-century post-war tiki culture, that mid-century modern googie architecture style, especially the California coast at the time. You see it on like Atlantic City, Jersey, all those places. The Enchanted Tiki Room. This is one of the best shows in the park, one of my absolute favorites, an iconic song to the parks written by the Sherman Brothers. Again, more legendary Disney Imagineers, and all the design work here having been done by Mark Davis, I believe my favorite of the Imagineers. His particular style is one of my absolute favorites. And one thing I really love at the Tiki Room here is, so right here, this is where you get your Dole Whips. I believe it'll even have it on the signs there. Yeah, yeah. You got your pineapple spear, Dole Whip, pineapple juice, Dole Whip float. Yeah, and look at those prices. So affordable compared to today. So I would come in and I would grab my Dole Whip float. That's some Dole Whip ice cream on top of pineapple juice. Absolutely delicious on a hot day. Right up there where you see there should be like a TV screen, there would be a TV screen that would sort of show like a history of Hawaii and pineapples and their partnership with Dole, who are the sponsors of the Enchanted Tiki Room. And then they had a whole pre-show that would happen before you go in. That was all these tiki gods coming to life and explaining their significance to Hawaiian culture. And they actually put all the birds from the tiki room, Jose, Michael, Fritz, and Pierre, outside here because you can't go into the tiki room. But yeah, all the tiki gods are out here. They all come to life. Now, this is exactly how this used to look when I was there. Now, over here, this is open and you can go back behind there. They have a little restaurant called the Tropical Hideaway where they have more types of Dole Whips. They have mochi, some sort of Asian, Hawaiian fusion kind of stuff in there. A lot of snack foods. Yeah, Enchanted Tiki Garden. Best hidden bathroom in all of Disneyland is right back in there. Don't tell anybody. All right, we're coming back out. Yeah, those torches always lit up year round, all day, all night. Go in there and see those. One of the most reliable bathrooms in all the parks is right there, through that little way. We come over here, and we're heading in. We got the now they used to do, yeah, right there. There used to be an Aladdin meet and greet at Aladdin's Oasis. None of that's there anymore. That is now the Tropical Hideaway. Again, this is one of my favorite corners of the parks. I can talk about everything here forever. The Adventureland Bazaar, that's where you go to grab your Indiana Jones merch, Jungle Cruise merch, and frankly, just like good all-weather wear, because they know this is the part of the park where that fits. All the lanterns in the trees. Well, let's have a look here. Tropical Imports, this is where I would go and I would get the famous Disneyland pickle, or fruit juice. They would have all those things there. And it is right next to possibly my favorite ride in the park. It's always hard to pick, but the Walt Disney's Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise is one of the best works of, again, one of my favorite Imagineers, Mark Davis. The character designs that he did are so specific and his style is so easy to pick out, and it rings true through that entire ride. Of course, one of the funniest rides in the park, where you witness such wonders as the backside of water, and you get to learn all kinds of interesting facts, like Bengal tigers can jump over 40 feet. Thankfully, that one's 25 feet away from us, so it should fly right overhead. Some of these rocks are limestone, but most people just take them for granite. I could do the jokes from that ride all day. Now right here, this is another one. They do have the name on this little thing, Indiana Jones Adventure Temple of the Forbidden Eye. But when you come over to look at it, the big sign is not there. It says testing. And this ride had been open for years at this point. I think, again, because they hadn't yet bought the rights to LucasArts, they couldn't include it, and somehow that little sign there snuck by. But you can see the detail in the line for this ride with the trucks and the jungle, and it's possible I might be able to get us a view. Yeah, you can sort of see back into some of what would be the actual temple in the ride. This ride actually won awards based purely on the wait area, the queue. Now this tree behind this sign, I think I've tested here in this game before. Yeah, it's not there, but in real life there's a little door in the bottom of that tree with a little smokestack and a little welcome mat. It's where the little man of Disneyland lives. It's one of those old the gold spine books from when you were a little kid. All right, continuing on. Again, Adventureland's one of my absolute favorites, and we're just about out of it now. But here we have the Swiss Family Treehouse. Uh, at least I think, is that what it would have been by this time, or was it Tarzan already? I don't know. I can't find a sign marking it. So this started life as the Swiss Family Treehouse, based on Swiss Family Robinson. Of course, that became less relevant over the years, and it became the Tarzan Treehouse after the Tarzan films came out. Now it has very recently become just the Adventureland, Disney's Enchanted Adventureland Treehouse, something like that. I can't remember the exact name, but it's sort of more like the Swiss Family Robinson vibe now. It's sort of back to the original theming. Now, yeah, the Swiss Polka playing loudly there. And now we are entering New Orleans Square. Before we go see one of my favorite things in the whole park, I'm going to run past the Disneyland band there, back toward Frontierland to show one of the cool little hidden gems here. This is the petrified tree. It's held together with some metal because it's been falling apart for years, but it is a fossilized petrified tree stump that's been in the park for years and years and years and was apparently one of Walt's favorite things that he managed to get in the park. I always stop by and look at it. It's always cool to see that it's still there. But yeah, they've had to add, you can see they even have it in the game, some metal bracing for it because it is kind of falling apart at this point. All right. Coming back down the rivers of America, we're headed right toward maybe the most famous, maybe my favorite, certainly the most iconic ride in all of Disney parks, Pirates of the Caribbean. Man, just one of the best old school original rides in the park. One of my absolute favorites. And I love the way the queue works here, where you kind of go under this little bridge, and there's a fountain that runs right there that's off in the game. It zigzags you back and forth. It sends you up this little walkway. Now, in real life, and I pointed this out when I streamed this before, there's a drinking fountain right here in real life. No idea why they don't have it in the game. None. It brings you up here, and you come over, and this is the line to actually get into the ride. And all I want is to just see in, to see if we can see through the windows at all. Yeah, you can't really see in too well on this. But once you're in there, I mean, it's literally, you walk in, and right there is the water with the boats going by. I hear Robotics saying Haunted Mansion is #1. I mean, it's hard for me to say you're wrong. But again, all this comes back to my favorite of the Imagineers, Mark Davis. He did the character design for Jungle Cruise, Tiki Room, Pirates, and Haunted Mansion. That very distinct character style, that is Mark Davis. And when you look at a picture of Mark Davis, he looks like those character designs. Like he looks like he designed himself. Really something to see. That cue music from Pirates playing there. I'm gonna turn that up for a sec because it's one of my favorites. Because everyone deserves to hear it. Turn it back down, hop back in. If you get the chance, hop on YouTube. They have the entire cue music on loop for 2 hours straight. I listen to that when I'm doing 3D design work all the time. All right, now we are to New Orleans Square. Again, one of my very favorite lands, and they really do sort of capture a lot of what New Orleans looks like when you're there. I went to New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend a few years ago. Wrestled Daisuke Sekimoto for Kaiju Big Battle in front of probably, I don't know, 700 people. Pretty awesome. And this is a lot what it looked like. Yep, I'm still drinking coffee at this late hour. Out of my mind. We got our little pirate fortune teller here. Fortune Red. Now, it is cool to note, and I don't think she's out here anywhere, but there is a female pirate in the pirate ride with red hair named Red with two D's. That is who one of our chickens are named after. We have Red, and we actually have a second chicken named after her called Mini Red. All of our chickens are named after things in the Disney parks. Red, Mini Red, Churro, Figment from Epcot, and Tiki from the Tiki Room. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna come. So there's this whole front path here in New Orleans Square that has this beautiful view. You can see the sailing ship Columbia in the background there. Tom Sawyer Island. Now that little stage right ahead there, right in front of that house, that is where Fantasmic happens every night. Probably the best live show in all of Disney parks. And what a beautiful viewing area you get for it here, just sitting along the rivers of America with all the fireworks and the fire-breathing dragon and everything that happens in that show. Just the best. All right, we're going to take the back route through New Orleans Square because there's some important stuff back here. So first, we got the Blue Bayou restaurant. This was where I was going to get married. That was the plan. Only to discover that Blue Bayou and Pirates were going to be closed for like 6 months that year, and my wedding fell right in the middle of it. So that did not happen. But the Blue Bayou is one of my favorite places to go eat. If you go at lunchtime, it's off menu, but you get their oh God, what's the sandwich? I'm blanking on the name of the sandwich. It's the ham and cheese on like deep fried, like sort of a French toast thing. What is that called? Hirobotic, help me out. You know food. Um. Anyways, all right, we come around. We got artists that work back here, and I may have gone past it already. Yeah, I definitely did. Where is it? Where is it? It's right here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Club 33. The secret, incredibly exclusive, members-only club in Disneyland. It is wildly expensive. 5 figures a year to be a member. And then a meal there for a day is close to $1,000. It's incredibly expensive. There's a 10-plus year waiting list to become a member. So I always assumed I would never see the other side of that door. One of the last times we were there, a good friend of ours who's a member went in because they wanted to get they get free fast passes all day because they're a Club 33 member. They needed them loaded onto their app so that they could go ride the rides. So we popped in, and she was kind enough to bring us inside and show us around a little. It was amazing, and I wish I could have taken some pictures, but there are no pictures allowed inside Club 33. It's beautiful. We do have an invitation from that friend to go in and eat there at some point, and I think we probably will one day. I certainly hope we will, because I feel like it's an experience I need to have. All right, so yep, you see we got a little view here through some of the artisan shops up to some of the food up there, but my favorite food other than the sandwich back there. So yeah, good hidden bathrooms back here, by the way. That's a key spot. No one knows. We got the New Orleans Square train station there to hop on the Disneyland train. As we come around here, one of the most important drinks in the park, the Disneyland Mint Julep. It's a non-alcoholic mint julep that is just amazing, just fantastic. And I love that art. That's still there to this day. You see we come around, they got the sign and you order there, you step right up, mint julep bar, you pick your thing up, and then you go hop in line for the Haunted Mansion with a nice cool beverage and some beignets, because that's where they have the beignets in the park. Mickey-shaped beignets. And sometimes they have seasonal flavors. I've had strawberry and I've had grape. I think classic is better than either, but they weren't bad. All right, so there is, like I mentioned, the train station, New Orleans Square train station. And as we come out here, we're going to approach Herobotic's favorite, and I think my wife's favorite, and definitely in my, at least in my top three, if not maybe my favorite, the Mark Davis classic, The Haunted Mansion. Come up here, we have the horseless carriage with the ghost horse pulling it. Oh, and there we got it. We got to hop on the music again because I can hear that classic theme. Turn it up. Honestly, the Haunted Mansion theme, one of the great theme park songs. And I'm gonna bring us back out of the queue so we can get a good view of it from down on the walkway here. There's another churro cart. There it is. That's the Haunted Mansion. So that was not a opening day attraction, oddly enough. That actually opened years later, and it was sort of a blocked off, earmarked section of the park for something like this. Originally, there was ideas that there would be a museum of the weird, almost like a haunted house kind of museum thing. There was talk of a lot of different things. This was going to be a walkthrough at one point instead of a ride. And for years, people had said like they thought that Walt was buried there. That's, of course, absolute nonsense. Walt is frozen solid in my backyard. Keep him there just in case we got to thaw him out for some good ideas. All right. And again, the character design in that ride, also Mark Davis. Um, Very famously, there's an entire Imagineering family that is involved with this. Leota Toombs, that's right, her last name is Toombs, is the voice and face of Madame Leota, the floating fortune teller head in the ride. She has a daughter who also reprised that role for the holiday version of the ride. Um, and to this day, her voice can be Leota Toombs. Her voice and likeness can be seen on your way out. There's a little statue of the haunted girl from the ride saying "Hurry back," and that's pretty cool for her daughter because she still works in the parks and she can go by and see her mom, who's been passed many years ago. Still see her and hear her voice pretty much every day, which is kind of cool. Speaking of things that are no longer in the park, we are approaching. Yeah, you see him go down. You see the splash. That is Splash Mountain. Coming in November, reopening in the Disneyland park. Uh, is that why we're getting a Monster Jam movie? Yep, that's why we're getting Monster Jam. Uh, I can't wait till they put a Monster Jam ride in the parks. Come on, let's go. Um, yeah, Splash Mountain has been redone as Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Very fitting for being that close to New Orleans Square. Really makes, kind of just fits right in. This ride was a classic. I can remember when I was a little kid and it opened. Watching the opening, there's the sign for Critter Country. Watching all the opening on TV. The first person to ride it on TV was Ernest of the Ernest movies. But yeah, that ride is long gone now. Hungry Bear Restaurant, a common stop for people with their families. Now, this walkway that you see here, back then used to just go down to seating for Hungry Bear. Now it is a pathway that takes you back once again to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, hidden back in that corner. So I made my way on that path many times on this last trip because we would exit out of Star Wars and come over to New Orleans Square or Adventureland. All right, I'm gonna run back here. Oh, there's Brer Fox causing trouble. We're gonna go under the little bridge, and right here is where we have the Winnie the Pooh ride. Now, I always thought it was pretty funny that they put a Winnie the Pooh ride here because it used to be the Country Bear Jamboree, and they replaced it with more bears. We wound up with Winnie the Pooh in place of Country Bears. They do have hidden Easter eggs that are references to country bears throughout the ride. And the first time I really went on that ride was only a few years back, and I really liked it. I actually was kind of surprised. In my mind, it's for kids. It wasn't going to be anything special. Loved it. Thought it was great. There's the entrance to Splash Mountain. The last time we were at the parks, it was a little bit of a somber experience to go on the ride for the last time. We really took our time in the queue, looked around at everything. Really, the theming is sort of what's our favorite thing in the parks. Coming through the back here, this is where you find your gift shops and what have you for these rides. There's the photo pass shop where you can get your picture after you come off Splash Mountain. These sort of bench areas here are usually where I sit to put my socks back on after Splash Mountain. I'm usually in Crocs, but take the socks off before. Hey, get out of the camera, lady. Um, Take the socks off before hopping on the ride so they don't get soaked. Hop off here, put the socks back on. We're ready to roll again. All right, so we're coming right back out here, and I'm going to take us back toward Main Street to show us, for me, probably the most significant spot in any Disney park on the planet. I'm going to show us the spot where my wife and I got married, where Hero Botic was the officiant for our wedding. Again, our original plan had been to get married literally on the Pirates ride. There's one scene that's kind of wide and spread out and floats slowly, and we were going to have a very fast ceremony. We had just the right number of people that we would all fit in a boat together. We were just going to do it right there because no one could be bothered by us doing it there, and we didn't want to intrude on anyone's vacation or anything. But Pirates was closed, so we had to find a different spot. Do I think we're going to get a truck based on the movie? Maybe. That would be pretty cool. I think that would, I mean, right? Like, why not? Um, it's weird. I don't know which I think would be cooler. Get a truck based on Disney's Monster Jam movie or get a ride in the parks based on Monster Jam. I don't know what would be cooler. I'd be pretty happy with both. I think the ride might be more exciting to me. All right, so we're coming on back out to Main Street here. We're going to go around the center hub that has the partner statue. Get a nice view of the castle here for just a sec. Man, that view in the morning, the cool California air before the sun has really come up. Nothing like it. Nothing like it in the world. The sounds of Main Street USA coming through the speakers. The park's not totally flooded with people yet. Usually you got a churro in one hand and a coffee in the other. That's living, man. All right, so we come around the side of the castle here, and there's this little walkway. And it leads you to a little spot called Snow White's Grotto. They actually have Snow White standing here. You come over this little bridge with all the hearts on it, very appropriate. There's a little wishing well. And then you have this view of these little statues from the ride. These statues were a gift to Walt and the Disney company upon completion of the park. And they ran into a problem that Snow White was the same size as all the dwarves. So they put her all the way up on the back of the waterfall to sort of add some perspective. So it looked like she was appropriately scaled to them. And there's the little fish down there that spit water out of their mouths and float around. And there's a little light show that goes on with them down there. You can sort of see emulated. And this is right about here, where you see my character standing with Snow White. That is just about the spot where my wife and I were married, where Hero Botic had us say our vows. My brother was my best man. He stood there as lookout because you're not technically supposed to do weddings in the park without Disney's permission. So don't stooge me out to them. They might be mad. And yeah, we said our I do's, put on our rings, and as Hero Botic said at the end of our ceremony, let's go ride Splash Mountain. And we took off to do rides. Everyone came with us to Tomorrowland to go hit some of the rides over there, and Everyone kind of went their separate ways for the day, and then we all met up for lunch in California Adventure at Ariel's Grotto, a restaurant that no longer exists, because it was the closest thing they had to the Blue Bayou at the time, which was closed for refurbishments. Otherwise, we definitely would have eaten there for our dinner. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the tour of the parks. I think I hit most of my favorite things, rambled on about some of my favorite Imagineers, talked a little about Disney news. There are expansions coming to the California parks as well, new rides and stuff going in. Crazy new stuff going into the Florida parks, where as always they have more room to expand than they do in California, which is fine. You know, that's just the nature of the land deal at the time. You know, Walt didn't have any idea how big his parks were going to get. He didn't know that it would consistently, for decades and decades and decades, draw the number of people it drew and require as much changing as it did. But, you know, that was something Walt always said, is the parks should always be changing. They should always be improving. They should always be plussing was the term he used. I'm just looking around at stuff now. Let's see. Can we hear the Steamboat Willie theme here? Not there. All right. Coming back around to the front gate. And this is how we would exit every day. We would come out over here. We would sort of say goodbye to Walt, looking up at his lit candle in his office, and we would exit out this side because it was closer to. Yeah, that's true. Disney does basically own Florida. I mean, they're most of their economy there. Oh, here's some attraction posters we didn't see on the way in. There's the sailing ship Columbia, the Dumbo ride, Big Thunder, Haunted Mansion, Alice. The Alice ride is again really unique, really special. But yeah, at the end of the night, we would come out here. We would exit through these turnstiles and head on out and over to downtown Disney, which is not visible from here. And we would usually grab some kind of late night snack, bum around the shops for a little bit, but it would be about 1 in the morning when we left the parks. So, end of a pretty long day at that point. I'm gonna, for our outro here, when I say bye to everyone, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna zip us down Main Street USA as fast as I can and put the castle in the background. But I wanted to give you sort of, in roughly an hour and a half, I just gave you, dear viewer, quick run through of how I was doing Disney back in 2011 when this game was made. And frankly, our tactics don't change that much now. There's more there because there's Galaxy's Edge. There's more rides in Toontown. Toontown's been updated. A lot of these rides have been changed. Some of the shows have been swapped out. But the hours are still about the same. You can get into the park as early as 7:30. The park officially opening. They call it rope drop when you can pass this point right here that they usually have roped off from that little horse across over to that pole. They have roped off in the morning, and you have to wait here from 7:30 to 8, and then you're allowed in. And then midnight is officially when the parks close. That's when they stop letting you onto rides, or they close the lines out to the rides anyway, and they stop seating at the restaurants. But the stores on Main Street remain open for an additional hour until about 1 in the morning, and that's when they really start to funnel everyone out actively from the parks. I'm going to come here next to Mickey for our outro clip here. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed my little run through the Disney parks, my little run through memory lane, my run through my ridiculous history and fascination with Imagineering and Disney history. It's something I think about a lot. It's something that I've read a lot about and watched a lot of documentaries and such. And frankly, for the last 20 some odd years, maybe a little longer, 25 years, I've kind of lived it. I've been in and out of the parks over and over. I've yet to be to any of the international parks, but planning to change that soon. So watch the vlog. Um, and only recently, the last few times, have I been able to really sort of capture it for an audience and vlog a little bit about it. So that's been pretty cool. So yeah, that's been today's stream. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again next week, possibly back again later this week with more streaming here on twitch.tv/Perry Von Vicious. If you haven't already, subscribe, share, tell a friend, post on Twitter about what a great time it was. This is going to go up tomorrow on my YouTube. So if you thought it was cool, thought it was interesting, if you know someone who likes Disney parks and you think they might want to see sort of a weird historical tour through 2011's version of Walt's original park, tell them about it when it goes up on YouTube. Send them a link. Who knows? They might become a fan. Maybe they like wrestling. Maybe they like monster trucks. Who knows? Anyhow, I will be back again soon. If not this week, next Monday and Tuesday at 9 p.m. Always. I will see you then. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out.